I know. I know. It's so funny. I showed it to my mom.
Welcome. Welcome to everyone. Mr. Kan sends his greetings from Asia, where he's been meeting with families, alums, and friends of the school, and he's looking forward to being back here tomorrow for our holiday dinner. In this holiday season, I ask you please to remember how fortunate and blessed we all are, and that this is the season of people. It's not the season of things. So thank someone who has helped you. Tell your family that you love them and appreciate them, and be kind to others and do a good deed for someone who needs something. This is our last chapel before break. I ask you to be good listeners, power down your phone, hold on tight to it, and be wise and smart and make good decisions during break. We're going to hear from 8 seniors today, start with Dominic and end with Sophie. Thank you.
As displayed in Mean Girls, friendships can be challenging, to say the least. You can have fun moments with people that make you forget about all your troubles, and the same people can make you feel absolutely alone and terrible. While I wouldn't say we have a bunch of Regina Georges walking around in Louboutin heels, I think we can all relate to one of the minor themes in Mean Girls, going out of our way for our friends, even if it wasn't required. But at what point is it friendship, and at what point are we Gretchen Wieners? Even though I played Damien, which I loved, thank you, Mr. Dugan, I really resonated with Gretchen. In the musical, Gretchen considers Regina her quote-unquote master, and is constantly trying to be liked by her. In fact, Gretchen has a song titled What's Wrong With Me, where she even begs Regina and the audience, what's wrong with me? Could it be you? It's probably me. For me, I always feel like it's a chore for others to hang out with me. Or anytime someone is rude or treats me poorly, I always assume it's my fault. I'm being too loud. They're definitely annoyed with me. I'm always wondering why I'm not in the group chats, wondering why I'm not invited to the hangouts, wondering why I'm not part of the selfies or the inside jokes, wondering what is so wrong with me that people just don't like me. Rather than accepting the fact that people might not like me, I try to make up for it by grabbing people something from the snack bar, sending homework answers, trying to be the best friend ever so maybe people will like me more. There's an ever-present struggle with both wanting to say something to people about how I feel, but knowing I will get talked about if I do say something. I yearn to express my feelings, but I'm worried about the aftermath. Gretchen and I are similar in that way. As my senior year progresses, I realize my time here is pretty limited. Graduation is just 165 days away. I'm sensing more and more about life's truths. I'm gonna be honest, there will always be people who don't like you and make you feel insignificant. That's just a part of life. If you're like me and Gretchen Wieners, that's a hard fact to let sink in, but it's true. You're always gonna be too X variable for someone and not X variable enough for someone else. And you know what? That's okay. We're in a school with about 400 students. If you have not met a person that's the Janice to your Damien yet, it's okay. You are not going to be in this situation forever. So Suffield, my message to you is this. I know one of Suffield's many mantras is to be kind, but I would like to add one. Reflect. Reflect on how you treat others. Reflect on how others treat you. I'm sure you can identify times where you've gone out of your way for others and when others have done the same for you. Also moments when you've been a victim of a Regina George. I think we've all been there. To the people who feel like they've been a Regina George a bit too much, I'm not saying you have to be friends with every single person. Sometimes people just don't click. But whatever the case is, it is never okay to treat someone like they're less than. Plus, you might get hit by a bus. To the people who relate to Gretchen Wieners, it is not your fault. The way others treat you is not your fault. You are strong, you are worthy, and you do not deserve to be treated poorly. My name is Don Belise, a 4-year senior from West Springfield, Massachusetts. Stay true to yourself, and don't let anyone ever dim your light. Thank you.
Alonso, New York. My last name is spelled Koester, and I'm told by my parents that's pronounced Kester, like a court jester. But it turns out that the original spelling was without the E. My grandfather immigrated to the United States, the immigration officer added that E. Kester before that was spelled Koester with an umlaut over the O. An umlaut is a German accent mark that has 2 dots over it. So the actual pronunciation my parents told me was not the original pronunciation. It's originally supposed to be pronounced Kuster, according to my grandfather. One time, my mom, who's definitely not German, was traveling in Germany, and she made a reservation for dinner saying the Americanized Kuster. And when she arrived at the restaurant that night, they had her in the book spelled Koester with the actual umlaut. My mom hadn't really believed my dad that the name actually had an umlaut until then. That's just the way it's supposed to be pronounced. Many people here at Suffield and beyond have made valiant attempts to pronounce my last name. Here are some of the more common ones. Coaster, like a roller coaster, or a coaster that you put your drink on. That makes sense because coaster looks like it should be pronounced coaster. A- for the logical approach. Keister, like I deserve a good kick in the keister. Unlike coaster, keister does not make sense. It's spelled nothing like a keister. Sometimes I wonder if people are just giving me the business and having a laugh at my expense by calling me Thomas Keister. C+. Coester is another valiant attempt. This one, like coaster, is also reasonable. After all, it is spelled that way. E+. But those are only the more common mispronunciations. Each of the following get a failing grade. Coestar, Ko-I-Ester, and Key-Oyster. As tricky as my last name is, I felt it appropriate to have an advisor with an equally more confusing last name. I truly still don't know how to pronounce his name, so I'll just stick with calling him Mr. C. You might think that my first name, Thomas, is easier. However, that could also be confusing. I'm not Tom or Thom with an H for Tommy. I'm just Thomas. All right, now let me start my actual speech. I wanted to use this time to thank my family despite the crazy last name. Thank you, Dad, for always being there for me and coming up some weekends to get a meal together. And thank you, Mom, for always keeping me in touch with the gossip at home. Thank you to my older brother for always having the latest scoop on the latest sports drama. And finally, thank you to my little brothers, Sam and James, for always being positive and getting dubs in Fortnite with me. In closing, I want to thank Suffield for fun and memorable 4 years, but also for giving me the opportunity with my senior speech to declare my name. Thank you.
Last year I watched everyone from my class just doing senior speech every Monday. Now it's finally me. Hello, Suffield. I'm a 5-year senior. Sometimes I feel kind of old. Like, how many of you, excluding faculties, have gone to the chapel held in the actual chapel across the street? When I look back to the times before the pandemic, those memories felt so distant, like they're from an ancient era. Sometimes I also feel so young, and it's not just like many people say I look like a junior or even sophomore, but also when I look back, it feels like high school didn't really start for me until my junior year, or full 2021. And I have very little memories before that, like every day is kind of similar. Even for the memories I do have, they're mostly vague and, again, felt very distant. They're distant not only in a chronological sense, but also kind of like I was observing a different person. For some reason, when I first came here as a freshman, I thought about college probably even more than I do now as a senior. That was just the mindset that I always had. Like everything I did had a purpose, and that is to prepare for the college application 4 years later. I remember some of my middle school existential crisis. I was thinking, I studied so hard in middle school just to get into high school, and then I'll have to study even harder in order to get into college, the purpose of which is to find a job, and I work, and retire and die. This mindset gradually started to change. Freshman year was cut short by COVID, and I came back for sophomore year. Mrs. Caleb might still remember me asking when is the library open because I have to take a TOEFL test. Or Mr. C maybe still remember me going to the empty room at the end of the academy dorm hallway to take the online AP prep course. What I remember was the countless times I questioned myself, why do I have to do these things while my peers are in the union? And the last Saturday night of my sophomore year, I remember watching the graduating seniors gathering on the hill before I went back to my dorm, laying on my bed and think, so this is it, half of my high school is over, and nothing really happened in the past 2 years. Within 2 years, I'll graduate just like them, And when I graduate, what do I have except an offer and a diploma? I sort of made the decision in the summer that I would go to as many school activities as possible to make up the time at Suffield that I had lost. When I came back from the summer break, I went to the start of school dance, which was still held at the top of Styles, by the way, for the first time. And a week later, this is something nobody knows except Mrs. Sabatili, I skipped my SAT prep and went to the musical audition. I was asking Mrs. Green, who was Miss Kane at the time, who was also probably the only person I knew there in the entire performing arts department, what does ensemble do? I would never expect how when the curtain closed after our last performance, we would all be jumping and screaming and hugging each other, and later went to the union and rushing outside, and almost as if the sky was watching, the wind started picking up and it started pouring literally the second we went outside. And we just ran to the hill in one of the biggest storms I've ever seen, and we rang the bell. That was Young Frankenstein, the first musical that I did. In the winter, I went to Harvard Model UN Conference, my first Model UN conference, and again, the experience was more amazing than I had ever imagined. We had the biggest snowstorm in Boston in 5 years, and all restaurants were closed. We went to this secret hot pot place while everyone else was waiting in line for an hour for a slice of pizza. We had the hallway committee, if you know what I'm talking about, with some delegates from Wisconsin who lived next door, and also I still could not believe I got an award there. I became a completely different person in junior year. I realized that there could be so many possibilities and unforgettable experiences to life if I could have just given it a try. I also learned that instead of focusing on the destination, I would rather focus on the journey along the way. The people I've met, memories I've made. My destination doesn't determine my path. I will let the journey lead to the destination. At the meantime, I only wish I had known all these earlier. I went to the telethon. The experience was great, and only at that moment I sort of remembered, wait, we had this telethon thing my freshman year too, and it was really cool. Again, it was all very distant memories. But I won't really have an opportunity to be part of it because I'll be graduating next year. I regretted I had not known earlier how colorful life could be. High school is a short and very precious journey. It is the 4 years in my life that I never get to live again, yet I was lost on 2 whole years. So I kind of wanted to cheat it a little bit and make up for at least one of them. Many people ask me, why do you repeat? And usually I just say, because I love Suffield. And that is obviously true, but I never really fully answer the question. So here's your answer. I have also seen different responses to my short answer, the I love Suffield one. Some people were like, this isn't High School Musical, I can't wait to go to college. Most people were like, I agree, but I still don't understand. In Miss Arnold's history class, I remember Juana said, yeah, but all good things have to have an end. Earlier this year, the afternoon after graduation, I opened a Snapchat map and just saw all these people of my class in little red cars in a radiating pattern centered in Suffield. Just like any other holiday, except this time I knew there won't be any see you all next fall, and I will probably never see these people together at Suffield Academy on the map ever again. And there will be a day like this for every one of us, everyone sitting here. It was really sad, but not a single drop of my tears was full of the regret. And I know it would be the same for when I graduate. I kept some of my memories in my notebook, some in my photo album, some in my mind, and I could finally face that person laying on the bed 2 years ago in that early summer Saturday night. When I graduate, I'll have an offer, a diploma, and a journey that I'll cherish for life. In just 5 years, college decision is coming out. Let's see where this journey leads me to.
Ordained to move as planets do, when matter stars dark to you. Roll blindly through our human time, beyond this wretch, misery climb. The farthest world deserve your shine, for your compassion is a crime. One law applies to you, be thought. The poem is called Stellar Morals by German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. This poem has always held a romanticized place in my heart. I like the idea of rolling through our time as humans pursuing our own passions and learning. So today I think that we must rely on others much more. Even though my thoughts have changed, but it's still my favorite poem. Hi, my name is Eric Zhang, a four-year senior from Shanghai, China. These 4 years, or rather 3 years, of my life in Suffield Academy have been profoundly meaningful to me. Due to COVID-19, I could only catch a glimpse of Suffield through online courses during my first year. It was in my sophomore year that I truly began to comprehend this place and be deeply influenced by its environment. Initially, I harbored apprehensions about leaving my hometown in Shanghai, China to study and reside in an unfamiliar setting. To be honest, in the past, I don't have to undertake any of the household tasks on my own, and sometimes rely on the assistance of my parents for better academic performance. I was uncertain if I could be capable of managing both aspects of life independently or adjusting to the new environment. Vivid memories still lingered from the initial week of my sophomore year when I was quarantined in the White House alongside with some other international students. Although it was really relaxing and pleasant in the daytime while we were chatting and hanging out, but privately I struggled with sleepless nights due to the difficulty of adjusting to the new environment, feeling nervous for the future school years and the jet lag. Thankfully, as time progressed and the semester commenced, bringing along busier schedules for both studies and daily life activities, I gradually started to get used to it. From then on, my Suffield life gradually begins. Throughout the period, the campus ambience and the regulations solely influenced me, fostered greater independence, adaptability of new environment, and the heightened motivations for learning. Coexisting with the others in the same dorm was quite a challenge for me. It's not only demanding increase on the attention toward my personal habits and also cleanliness, but also requires me the skills of trying to communicate and build relationship with the others. These 3 years have cultivated a sense of self-reliance in my personal life while also instilling certain habits that I previously overlooked. Although my personal life, although some undesirable tendency remains unresolved, for instance, sometimes I unconsciously spending too much time on social media that has led unintentionally monopolizing the bathroom. I am immensely grateful for the support provided by my roommates and classmates during these past 3 years residing together in dormitory. Also, I would like to extend my apologies to those students who were affected by any negative behavior resulting of some of my bad habits. Academically speaking, Suffield's approach to education significantly differed from what I have accustomed to. A departure from rote memorizations to a diverse learning method and assessment. Initially adapting to this new academic environment alongside multiple tasks provided challenging yet ultimately manageable over time. 3 years of independent study have fostered improved study habits within me with enhanced communication skills and effective time management. Previously inclined toward completing everything independently, the school environment now encourages more interactions with classmates and teachers regarding course content, whether through inquiries or sharing insights. So I'm very grateful for the students in the same class I have been in contact with in the past 3 years, all the teachers that have taught me before, and those benefactors who are willing to take photos to me and send them to me when I forgot or lost on the worksheet. My life in Suffield may not have been exciting or very bright or shining, but these experiences are still unforgettable for me. These years in Suffield have brought great changes to my studies and life. In addition to what I just mentioned, I've also made some other changes on dress code or online shoppings or getting addicted to coffees or things like that. Finally, I would like to thank my family whose support has made it possible for me to be here today, living and studying in this environment. I would also like to thank to all of you at the school for shaping an environment in this wonderful experience that have been so meaningful to me. My name is Eric Zhang, and this is the end of my senior speech. Thank you.
Hello Suffield, my name is Tess Haynes and I'm a 4-year senior from Suffield, Connecticut. And a typical midsummer day for me looks something like this. I wake up, get Smoothville, and then go pick up Reagan. And then we spend our day lying around my room waiting for school to start again. Throughout the last 3 years I've been at Suffield, I have found myself wanting breaks more and more as time went on. Going into my senior year, it hit me that I had one last year here to live to the fullest I could, and with the start of this year being very busy, it clouded my vision of taking advantage of everything from my last year. Reagan and I have our weekly talks in my car talking about a bunch of things, but one being how we could not wait for Christmas break. But the other day during one of our car conversations, and I don't even know if she remembers this, but she said, "Yeah, I want break too, but I'm trying to enjoy it and not always think about wanting more. I need to be content with where I am now, not always thinking about the future." I realized we went from long summer days wishing to be where we are right now, but when we are here, we wish for break, and this changed my perspective. This is my last year at Suffield, my last year being a high schooler, and right now I need to focus on being a senior in high school. Yes, school gets very hard, but I will take advantage of it all. I can't stand getting up early in the morning for school, but I get to get up and see Nora at breakfast and get a chocolate chip muffin. Some days I don't want to be home, and I'm lucky enough to have Maddie and Hadley's dorm to go to as my home away from home. But next year, that will be someone else's room to make new memories in. I'm not a big fan of sit-down lunch, but I get to go to the Union before to see all my friends I don't get to see throughout the day. I don't want to walk to class in the snow or even the rain, but I get to walk into oncoming snowball fights to cheer me up before I go to class. And some days I don't want to go out and just need someone to talk to, and I get to go home and see my parents and tell them all about my day, because next year it will just be a FaceTime call. These are all the precious things I have the privilege to do in the midst of everything I don't want to do. Now while I am here and while I have this time with you all, I will be completely content with where I am. Don't wait until senior year to do everything you have wanted to do, however many years you have been here or will be here. One day you will look back and you will miss it, not all of it, but you will miss the small things. Since my freshman year, I couldn't wait to be a senior, and now I cannot wait for spring term when the best time of senior year takes place. But now that I look back, it's all been gone before I knew it. I've always struggled with being content my whole life, and thinking back, I wish I was more content during certain times at school, because after around 30 months of being here, I only have 5 months left, and that is not something I will take for granted. To the people that have become my family here, Nora, Maddie, Hadley, Reagan, Bella, Katie, Declan, Keegan, and Crow, you have all been my support system. Thank you for supporting me in all my growth and inspiring me to be my best self every day. I am forever grateful for you all. I'd like to thank my parents for going above and beyond for me every day. Mom, along with being my mother, you have shown me true friendship. You are the most selfless person I know and are my biggest inspiration in life. Dad, you never fail to remind me that I can be anything I want to be and I can accomplish any dream I have. You always show me how fun life can be even in my darkest days. You both have sacrificed so much for me and I am eternally grateful your actions never go unnoticed. Ryan, my little brother, you are my best friend. Thank you for all the times you have gone out of your way to be there for me in any way you could. I will miss having you next door next year, but I cannot wait to watch all you accomplish in life. All of you, along with many other people in my life, have shown me how precious time really is. Thank you, Suffield, for introducing me to a part of my life I could have never imagined being in and showing me the best version of myself. I have learned so much here and will always give credit to this school for the way my life is now. Now, on my last note, even in the times you are no longer at Suffield, be content with where you are. Don't let the pursuit of tomorrow diminish the joy of today. Thank you.
Hi Suffield, my name is Grace Young. I'm a 4-year senior from Darien, Connecticut. During Thanksgiving, I had a lot of time to reflect on the things that I'm grateful for, in which I'd like to share with you today. I would like to start off strongly by talking about my love for the water and the tranquility that it provides me. Growing up, my parents were never able to take me out of the water, and they still have a hard time doing it to this day. Swimming after school growing up became water polo, which then transitioned into crew. The water provided me a way to reflect, as well as something I could use as an outlet. The water has always been a fun escape from reality for me. Surfing with my family was and still is a way for us to all do something active together. I know what you're thinking. My whole family, yes. My mother and my father get out there and they give it their all. This custom has become something we enjoy and is bonding for us as a family. My family has a big presence in my life, and for that I am most grateful for. My older brother Ford and his sense of humor, as well as his intelligence that simply motivates me to do well academically. My mother is my role model. She truly shows me what a girl boss embodies. A strong-willed, hard-working, and caring person. She is always there when the smallest problem occurs. She is the person I'm consistently looking up to, and I truly inspire to become half the woman she is. My father, someone I was concerned for when I left to Suffield, as he was losing his sidekick. We spent a lot of time together on the water, as well as eating numerous bacon, egg, and cheeses. He has taught me to talk to everyone and be open to every person, showing me the perspective he's gained through the many stories I heard growing up. And then there's my grandmother, who is 85. Though I should not be saying this out loud, I love to show off her age because of how it hasn't affected her whatsoever. My grandmother is the most mobile, eccentric, but loving person I know. She is always up for an adventure. For instance, in last June, we decided to go back to London as we had both grown up there. We revisited my favorite spots as well as to track her ancestors, but it soon turned into a scene from trains, planes, and automobiles. After visiting 7 towns, we ended up in a village in the middle of nowhere, no self-service, luggage in hand, on a road that was not a road. So she decides to wave down a white van. After hearing our story, the plumbers tell us to get in. But before I know it, she's telling me to get in the back of the van. I said, absolutely not. And I hopped in the middle between the 2 plumbers. We got there eventually. I can say my grandmother's interesting life stories intrigues my sense of adventure. I'm also grateful for Suffield. I continue to enjoy our campus as well as the students and faculty here. While my time at Suffield has had many ups and downs, it continues to show me how special and fun our school can be. I have had amazing roommates, especially in Barnes with our pet fish, Fredwina and George, as well as the memories I hope to continue making here. Time to give my thanks to Ms. Lord. I'm extremely thankful for all you've done to help me during my time here. Our daily talks during study hall and Brody, as my dorm parent this year. Thank you for everything you've talked me through, all the hugs when I really needed them. I thank you for having such open arms during my time here. Thank you.
Holidays have always been important to me, but I never discovered my true love for traditions until they started changing. When I was a kid, we would spend all morning with my mom's side of the family. We would wake up at our house where we would open gifts and eat breakfast before getting ready for the huge Christmas party on my dad's side. My Nana has held one every year for more than 35 years. Getting all dressed up and going to her house where we would spend the whole night with my cousins, family, and close friends was all that I ever knew. As we got older, it changed from playing hide and seek to board games to just sitting around and talking. When my grandmother couldn't handle the party anymore, it was moved to our house. While it was the same people, it was never the same, and then once COVID hit, a 35-year tradition died. I always had mixed opinions about these parties. On one hand, I love seeing all my family and friends, but I secretly envied the people that stayed home all day in their PJs getting to play with their gifts. Now my Christmas morning has stayed the same. But before, we would have left midday for the party. Now we spend the rest of the day sitting around in our PJs with no real plans. Instead of my dad's side meeting in Suffield for the party, we go on a trip. It's fun and I enjoy it, but it will never be the same. I now have the things that I longed for, but I would give up anything to go back to the way that it was before. This feeling can translate to many other areas of my life. I've always been ecstatic to move up in grades or on to the next best thing, but while it always brings exciting new experiences, I've had to lose something important to me in the process. I counted down the days until I could get my license, and while I love it, I miss my daily conversations with my mom on the way home from school. And even though I can't wait, I know that leaving Suffield is going to bring an immense amount of change. The rational part of my mind knows that change is good and it brings bigger and better things, but I don't know if I'm ready for it. So hi Suffield, my name's Sarah Welch, a four-year senior who can't fully wrap her mind around the fact that so many parts of my life are about to change. I hope I can leave you with the importance of cherishing even the mundane and normal parts of your life, because you never know the last time you're going to experience them. Before I end my speech, I just wanted to say a few thank yous. First, to all my family, Christmas would not be the same without you. Especially my cousin Alex. Wherever we are, whatever we're doing, you never fail to make it special. Mrs. Lord, thank you for always making time for whatever I may need or want to talk about. And my parents who have given me all these amazing experiences. I know I will miss you both and Liam so much next year.
I've been thinking about what to say up here since I was a freshman watching the seniors give their speeches. I knew that I wanted to reflect on my time at Suffield and hopefully give you guys some advice. The best visual I could think to give you was a Rubik's Cube. It embodies the twists and turns of a puzzle that seems overwhelming, that being high school. Everyone starts at the same level of mixed up, but everyone ends with the same pretty picture. It's just up to you to decide how you get there. My first attempt in solving the cube, I focused on trying to get one color solved. Little did I know I was just mixing it up more. That's a good visual for freshman and sophomore year. I was so focused on one friend group, it never crossed my mind that I'd be messing up friendships I could have in the future. My lesson is, it is never too late to undo the steps you've taken to get more pieces in place. There comes a time when solving the Rubik's Cube where you feel stuck and you don't want to go through the puzzle. I have that a lot. I get overwhelmed to a point where I can't bring myself to face any more challenges. A tactic that helps me is to make small goals, which eventually lead me to my big goal, which is standing in front of you as a senior. There is always one side of the Rubik's Cube that is most difficult to solve. For me, that was junior year. Some of my classmates will tell you it wasn't that bad. However, everyone has their own methods on solving the Rubik's Cube. I basically had to tell myself every day, it has to get worse before it gets better. And boy, if it was that bad, the end better be fantastic. I was a boarder for a few months, then I decided to become a day student that lived an hour away. This was a turn that brought me right back to square one. At this point in my life, I was in survival mode, going through the motions of life and school, living off 4 hours of sleep and somehow sustaining that for 5 months. If you want to prove to a friend that you can solve the Rubik's Cube, you don't let them see you struggle. I was trying to prove to people at my public school and everyone here that I can juggle everything and still be able to show up with a smile. I was very close to going back to my public school, but that would mean I lost. The good thing about the Rubik's Cube is that there is no such thing as winners or losers. There's just the satisfaction of seeing it done. As I said, everyone has their own methods of solving the Rubik's Cube, and everyone has their own methods on living life. We're all doing life for the first time, and no one knows what to do in every situation. So don't feel guilty for doing what you think is best. My last piece slid into place, being able to stand here as a senior. Although I'm not here with my family every day, they continue to remind me that there was more to the puzzle than just grades. Now, have I personally completed the physical Rubik's Cube? You can answer that for yourselves. But I can tell you, being close to solving the life Rubik's Cube is a lot more rewarding. Hi, I'm Sophie Winokur from Essex, Connecticut, and proud to say a 4-year senior.